Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Janelle Briggs and I am the founder of Thrive Mindset Coaching. I am truly so grateful that you are here with me in this workshop or watching the recording, and I want to add as much value as I can in our time that we have together, the 1 hour that we have together. I'm aiming for 45 minutes of chat and then Q&A at the end. For privacy reasons, the Q&A will not be recorded, but anyone who's watching the replay who has questions, please just reach out to me directly and I'll answer those on email for you. So today's workshop is something that is very close to my heart as an anxiety warrior for many years, and that is how to find freedom from anxiety, which I know is a big topic that a lot of us are suffering from a lot in the past few years with everything that the world has been going through. So today is an opportunity for us to come together. I'm going to share my knowledge with you and tools that have worked for me on my journey to find freedom from anxiety. My intention for this workshop today is two things. One, a better understanding of your mind, how it works and where anxiety actually comes from. And not one, but 5 practical and tangible tools that you can apply today straight away when you leave this session to help relieve your anxiety. Who's excited? Who's ready to go? Good. So if we haven't personally met before, or we've just recently connected, I am a mindset coach. I have been working with women in Australia and other parts of the world since 2018 as a mindset coach, helping them to relieve anxiety, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, fear of judgment, failure, all the fears, right? Essentially, I help women to become fearless, to release the blocks and limitations that cause us so much stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and procrastination, so that you can essentially level up your life, to find that true belief and self-confidence within you so that you can see every element of your life begin to thrive again. What a mind-blowing few years it's been for us. Who would have ever thought that COVID-19 could happen and we'd get stuck in a pandemic with so much fear and anxiety? I've never been happier to know that what I've learned and been able to change my life with, these are all tools and knowledge that can help support women in a big way after all that we've been through. So let's take a quick look at the outline for today. I am going to share my screen now. Just give me a moment to set that up. And hopefully you can all see my screen now. So first up, we are going to, and if I look this way, it's because I have the screens on one slide, so excuse me. So in this workshop, you are going to learn about the power of your mind and chat through the different elements of your mind. So often we feel like we have no control over the thoughts that we think, and we can't work out why they spiral into those rabbit holes of why am I thinking this way? So I'm going to shed some light on that for you. We are going to do a deep dive into anxiety. We're going to talk about the source of anxiety and learn about our mind-body connection. Because once we know how it operates, then we can create a game plan for really how to release the fear and worry. So then I'm going to share with you the tools that I personally use and I share with my clients to relieve anxiety. Not 1, but 5, as I mentioned, really simple, easy to implement strategies you can begin using today to create more calm within your mind. At the end, once I've shared all that good, valuable info, I'm going to offer you some further support as an option to help you relieve your anxiety for good. And I have a special workshop bonus for you. So stay with me to the end before we jump into some Q&A. So we have a lot to cover today and we're just going to get started. So I just want you to know that you are 100% in the right place. Absolutely 100%. If worry and fear creeps into your life, it's just random everyday situations that don't seem to bother other people. If you're exhausted from overthinking everything and you often gravitate to those worst case scenarios or outcomes, even if everything on the outer world is telling you that it's fine. If you're feeling restless and wound up and on edge, you can't sleep and you just can't work out why, I'm glad you're here because I want to shed some light on that. Or you don't know how to switch off your thoughts. I'm seeing a few head nods here, so I'm really glad that we are all in this together. So first off, I want to acknowledge that anxiety is very real, whether it's the small angst that you feel waking up thinking about your day ahead or the big, loud, booming thoughts that can be really debilitating that make you want to hide in bed all day. What you feel and experience is real. And I want you to know 2 things, and that is that everything I share today comes from my own personal experience. And number 2 is that I'm not going to spend our time together telling you to just relax more or to stop overthinking it to relieve your anxiety. Because if we think about it, then, all that overthinking that we're doing we would have already tried to stop thinking about it, right? Who's heard that before? Someone's told you, just stop thinking about it, stop overthinking. But let's be honest, I'm sure you've already tried that. You wouldn't be here if it's as simple as not thinking about it. It's more than that, and it goes deeper. Anxiety stems from fear, and fear is a really interesting emotion. It's naturally designed to keep us safe. It alerts our internal warning system for danger. And for that, we can be really grateful because we live in a world with real life dangers. But last time I checked, there is no snake slithering across the Zoom screen, right? Ready to strike at any moment, a real life danger. And it might depend where you live, but I'm assuming there is no man-eating crocodile under the bed that's waking you up at 3 a.m. for this real life danger situation. So some fears are very real. What I see happens though is that the fear we are experiencing in our daily lives, where we are just going about living, going to work, rushing from one thing to the next, trying to tick off the to-do list or meet our deadlines, taking care of the kids or trying to get it out the door without a tantrum happening, juggling conflicts or problems with family and friends. This fear comes from what we call perceived dangers, the thoughts that we're imagining in our mind of all the negative things that are going on, all those outcomes that we have no control over, thinking about the future of all the things that may not go to plan. So this sparks fear within us, which then stops us in our tracks and causes us undue stress and anxiety. How many of you have felt that way before? Yeah. So you are definitely not alone. Research tells us prior to the pandemic that 1 in 3 women will in fact experience anxiety in their lifetime. I would say that number has dramatically increased since the pandemic because we all felt a level of fear, uncertainty that was catastrophic for our nervous system. So many of us hit burnout during the pandemic due to this and other factors. So I hope that you're open to sharing in the chat with me today, but tell me about your anxiety. Do you find it situational, sparked by your work and relationships or events? Or is it something else? Did you experience anxiety for the first time during the pandemic and just now can't seem to shake that uncertainty? Let's have a look at the comments. Yes, situational. Absolutely. Fear of something happening in the future. Okay, that's really good. Glad that you can pinpoint that. And yes, pandemic. Pandemic caused all of it. Absolutely. And now we need to shake it off. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you can see from this that anxiety is not a new phenomenon, but it is absolutely escalated. Looking back on my life now, I know that I've lived with anxiety most of my life. I never labeled it as anxiety, but I definitely carried deep-seated fears throughout my childhood and teenage years. As a perfectionist who was frightfully scared to fail or be judged in any way, shape, or form, I was extremely good at hiding my fears and pushing through them because I learned in my family that we don't show the outside world our secrets and our vulnerabilities. We are perfect and we put on a good show because vulnerability in my family equaled some sort of weakness. So for a time, I was able to use my fear as fuel. There are instances where it propelled me forward, like in my corporate career, until I got to a point in my life around 36 years old that I could no longer push through the fear. I'm not sure if you've experienced that, but where we used to be able to push through the anxiety or keep going with the fear and be able to deny it and keep moving forward. And then whatever you're doing comes to a point where it just stops working. It just doesn't work anymore. I just come to a point where it begins to derail me. So my fears, my negative thoughts, my self-talk and my worry began to show cracks. In 2013, my son was born, and for the first time I called a helpline because I was having a panic attack. And I knew that it had something to do with my incessant worry thoughts. There were so many unknowns, so many uncontrollable things keeping this little human alive. And to be honest, motherhood didn't come easy for me. Put my hand up and say it now. The operator who I spoke to was extremely helpful and told me that I was experiencing anxiety. And I was floored. I literally had no idea. I was just in this habit of pushing through. So I did what I always used to do. And that was I'd push it to the side and I just got busy focusing on something else and pretending that this will go away. Well, it didn't go away. And by about 2015, I was 100% self-medicating with being busy. I was running from my anxiety by packing more and more into my life so that I could drown out the noise. And I was at the top of my 15-year corporate career. I started a new side hustle. My son was 18 months old and I was burning the candle at both ends. The cracks were starting to appear, but you just don't really want to deal with things because you just want to keep moving forward. Well, until something happens, bang, and you have to look at it. You are forced to look at it. Well, this happened to me. My life blew up. A family member who I love dearly came clean about their serious life-threatening drug addiction and alcoholism, and my parents of 35 years decided to divorce. So learning this felt like the world had swallowed me up and the universe was just spitting me out. What more could go wrong? I quit my lucrative job to focus on more time on managing, and controlling my family situation. I poured everything that I had into other people's problems. I became a workaholic building my first business, which I now see that was an escape from reality. I was running from the fear and worry constantly. I neglected my relationships with my husband and my son, and I also neglected my relationship with my health. So nothing was working, everything was failing, and I just couldn't fix any of it. And I experienced the worst stress and anxiety in my life. I was definitely at rock bottom. And I remember waking up one morning and I was just paralyzed by the worry and fear, and I could not get out of bed. I was just laying there sobbing. What can I do? I don't know how to fix this. I feel like a failure. I'm not good enough. I can't do anything. Ugh. What do I do next? How do I get out of this hole? My son came in. He was wanting some breakfast. He was 3 years old at the time, and I just couldn't do it. I just wanted to tap out. And I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's not somewhere that you want to be for very long. My beautiful husband, who's a great man, came in and he just said to me, Janelle, I don't know how much longer we can keep doing this. Like, where has my wife gone? And it makes me emotional now just thinking about it. It was the biggest wake-up call of my life. His words broke through the frog, and I realized that I was going to lose something big here. So they were going to be lost to me if I didn't change something immediately, and I couldn't hold the world up by myself anymore. And so I decided to get some help for my anxiety. A friend who I was talking to at the time gave me this golden ticket. It was a referral to a mindset coach who said that she changed her life. And, you know, that's a big call for anyone to say that. And I had never worked with a coach before. I'd never heard of mindset coaching before. I'd seen psychologists. I've read plenty of personal development books. I was on this podcast binging, audio binging, you know, help me, fix me, you know, kind of scenario. And I spent time with a self-help group learning about how to heal from the family disease of alcoholism. But nothing really helped me to move forward and leave it behind. Nothing seemed to stick long term. And so I spent 3 months with my coach identifying the root cause of my anxiety, my overwhelm, perfectionism, my fear of failure, my fear of judgment, all of these things, breaking down those barriers and rebuilding my mindset. And with that, amazingly came the return of my self-confidence, my self-belief, my self-esteem. I started to like who I was again. And the greatest gift I have ever been given is to stop waking up every day with the constant commentary of negative self-talk and worry and fear. I knew what my triggers were and I could set healthy boundaries. I learned morning mindfulness habit and I began filling my cup first. I started to see then like ripple effects of good thoughts and energy in every area of my life, and the people around me hadn't changed. The external stress hadn't changed. I was still trying to build a business. I was still dealing with my family's issues. Everything was exactly the same on the outside, but I had changed. The way I viewed the world and the problems and myself had changed. My relationship with my beautiful husband and my son all started to thrive again. The relationship with myself, number one, was thriving again. People would see me and the change was so profound. People would be like, oh, have you done something different with your hair? No, actually, I'm just happy and I'm not riddled with stress anymore. One day I was reading a book by Mel Robbins. I don't know if anyone's heard of Mel Robbins before. She is a phenomenal motivational speaker and an anxiety warrior. I've learned so much from Mel. And there was this one line in this book, and I'll never forget it. And she said, you have been assigned this mountain so that you can show others how it can be moved. I was like, whew, that's a light bulb moment. I was like, oh my God, that's it. What if there are more women like me who wake up every day dreading the day, filled with worry and angst, but they're like me, they hide behind this facade of everything's fine, everything's perfect, we're all good here. And they just soldier on and push through and they don't talk about it. What if I could help them, to teach them the tools that I've been given to clear their mind from fear, limiting beliefs, all of the things that hold us back? And imagine how good it would feel to help one woman. If I could just help one woman to find her self-belief again and release her fears and to love her life, then all of this, that everything, all the stress, hitting rock bottom, everything I've been through would be worth it. It would mean something. And so I turned what I call my pain into purpose, and I closed my other businesses. I retrained formally as a practitioner and coach of neurolinguistics programming, and I studied in timeline therapy. Now I get to do exactly that. I get to empower women to become fearless and anxiety free. It is the greatest pay it forward that I could ever imagine. And every day I have to pinch myself that I get to do this work and that I get to help women to heal. Now, what is mindset coaching? It may not be a style of coaching you've heard of before. You might have heard of life coaching, career coaching, executive coaching, where you have a mentor, you have some goals, and then they help set out an action plan and some accountability, support you in achieving those goals. So a mindset coach is similar. We have a goal in our intention, but the modality of coaching, it's really solely focuses on understanding your mind and how it operates. With mindset coaching, in my view, it's really about identifying the root cause within the mind of what's holding you back from the unhappiness and the contentment of your life and your career and your relationships. So getting to the core of the reasons why you might be feeling stuck, stagnant, or overwhelmed. So we look at what's happening internally. So the way you think and speak to yourself, what you believe to be true about yourself and the others around you, society and the world. And we look at the external environment too. So your work, your family life, relationships, your daily habits. What specifically is causing you stress and triggers your negative emotions and thoughts. So the big hitters like resentment, guilt, fear, and anxiety. And within both of these areas, we look at what is working in your life and what is not working to help you discover who you are underneath all those layers of stress and busy and negative beliefs, to help you create a growth mindset, which is a mindset that is rock solid in belief that you are worthy and amazing of everything that you dream, just as you are, where everything that happens in your external world can be seen as not a debilitating stress, but something that you can learn from and move forward from. So when there's no fear, then there's an opportunity to become limitless in the possibilities of your life. So I hope that gives you a broader understanding of my style of coaching and what mindset coaching is all about. Let's begin to look at the mind and how it operates. So I want to state straight up that I firmly believe that you have absolutely everything within you to succeed, whatever your success model looks like, whatever it means to you, whatever you really want, whether it's peace, love, joy, happiness, achievements, successful career or business, whatever it is. Maybe it's just a great day with the kids. Whatever it is you're dreaming of, you are extremely resourceful, intelligent, and you have the most beautiful and powerful mind. You can and will do whatever you put your mind to. But our mind gets stuck in these unresourceful states of thinking. An unhelpful mindset says, what if this goes wrong? What if that horrible thing happens? What if I'm not good enough for that? What if, which shrinks us and keeps us playing small. And we just don't know how to get up out of these thought loops, these unhelpful states of thinking. But once you get to know your mind and understand how it works, you can learn to tame it. Become the master of your thoughts. And it will honestly be your biggest ally to finding that peace, freedom, and happiness that you truly want. So this is your beautiful mind in all her messy, complicated glory. Now, according to cognitive neuroscience, our mind is only about 5% consciously aware, which is a very small amount. So 5% of the time, you are consciously making sense of the information that comes at you, you're problem solving, your decision making, you're learning, and you're using logical reasoning. Now, what that means is that most of what's going on in our mind, our actions, our reactions, our emotions, our feelings, our behaviors, and our habits, depends on 95% of the brain activity that goes beyond our conscious awareness, which we call the unconscious mind. Every thought that you have today, all 60 to 80,000 of them, is filtered by the many elements that are stored in the unconscious mind. Your core beliefs, the things that you were taught when you were young by your parents, the school that you went to, or the society that you lived in, the opinions and labels that were passed on to you when you were young. your past memories and the events that you have been through, and your emotional experiences, both the positive and the negative. So this filter happens automatically. You don't have to think about it. What you believe to be true about yourself and the world is faithfully stored in your unconscious mind. And every thought that you think, every word that you use begins from this part of the mind. So I'll explain it in a slightly different way. Have you ever noticed that first negative thought that comes up into your mind, that first anxious or that worried thought that sounds like what if, or I can't do that, or is like a resistance when maybe you're trying to fall asleep at night, or that worry that just comes out of nowhere when you're stepping outside your comfort zone. All of a sudden, that one thought, bam, comes in from nowhere, and then it leads to another thought and another thought and another thought. And all of a sudden you're down rabbit holes, spiraling into anxiety. And you can't sleep, or you can't function at work, you can't focus because your mind is worst case scenario planning everything. Well, this is because 95% of the unconscious part of your mind that I was talking about before is running on autopilot. It's in the background all the time, filtering your thoughts. So in this instance, I really like to share this quote by Joe Dispenza. He's a fascinating neuroscientist. Dr. Dispenza, he's an author, meditation teacher. He is fascinating. If you want to find him, he's got lots of stuff on social media. And what he says is that 95% of who we are by the age of 35 is a set of memorized behaviors and unconscious habits, beliefs and perceptions, emotions and reactions that we have learned that have been hardwired into our brain and function like a computer program. So by 35, you're all set. You've learned to think a certain way, act a certain way, behave in a certain way, and will continue on that loop over and over again. That's the way things were done. The mind says, so that's the way things are always done. And our system and the mind is essentially then running on autopilot until something interrupts the pattern, whether it's a life crisis like I had, or an event like the pandemic, or something that happens that begins to awaken you to what is no longer working in your life. At some stage, we begin to wake up and realize that how I'm operating, my belief about myself, the words I'm using, the programming that I've got, my habits, my thought processes, the way I'm triggering and reacting for emotions, it's just no longer working for me. And I'm so sick of listening to this looping track in my head that I don't want to believe in the fear anymore. I want to be able to enjoy life. I want to live without the noise. I want to live without having that incessant inner critic going on replay. And this is why freeing yourself from anxiety isn't as easy as telling yourself just not to worry about it or stop overthinking, because we have to interrupt the pattern that your thoughts have been in since you learned to think and behave and react in this way. We have to take the mind off autopilot and reprogram that computer system that's operating in your unconscious mind. I hope that that is starting to make sense for all of you. The way I look at mindset coaching is not a Band-Aid approach. We do not just sticky tape over the cracks and expect the problems to be fixed. We go deeper than that. We essentially need to look at where the fear is coming from and then learn ways to let it go. So here's how anxiety comes into the picture. Remember, we talked about those perceived dangers at the very beginning, the thoughts that you're thinking and imagining of everything going wrong, the danger that triggers a reaction within your body. So when your first negative thought comes up, comes out of nowhere, it comes from that domain of your unconscious mind, the part that is on autopilot, okay? So this thought then triggers an emotion in you. It triggers your fear. If you go follow the arrows on the slide, we're at stop number 1. So you've had the first negative thought, the fear gets triggered, your emotions begin, and then the body responds. Because in basic terms, anxiety is actually your body's alarm system. It's saying, danger, danger, get ready to round up those troops because we need to fight, we need to run, and we need to hide. The brain's natural response is to flood the body with stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, priming the body to fight the danger, run from the danger, or freeze and hide from the danger, which is why sometimes we shut down when we feel really anxious. The only way that it's been programmed to deal with fear is this way, because the body's highest purpose is to preserve itself. It will do anything it can to keep you safe. but it cannot ascertain whether the thing that you are thinking about at 5 a.m. is a real danger or just a string of crappy emails in your to-do list and your mailbox, or it's just worst case scenario imagining. So the problem then is that these hormones have just flooded the body and they have nowhere to go. So I want you to think about anxiety as your body's alarm system. And when the alarm system gets triggered, the symptoms are what you're feeling from the hormones being in your body. The tense and restless feeling, the sense of impending doom, the increased heart rate, the sweating, the exhilaration, and the loss of appetite. So you aren't running, you're not fighting. At this stage, you're just laying in bed thinking about something. So here's my first bit of guidance when this happens, when the perceived danger, so those fearful thoughts that you're having, this sparks your mind and the stress hormones drop. Your nervous system and your entire body is now on high alert. I want you to remember that. This is my body, it's on high alert because of the thoughts that I've been thinking. We need to flush out those hormones. And the number one way you can do that is move your body. Go for a walk, do some yoga, do some, exercise of some way, because we want the hormones to be able to move through. If we're just sitting there thinking, the hormones have nowhere to go. They continue to flood. So even though you likely will not feel it, like doing it, exercise and moving your body is going to be the best way to move these hormones. If it's the middle of the night, I want you to get up and get on the floor next to your bed and do some simple yoga poses. Certain poses in yoga actually massage the organs to help release the stress hormones. So poses like standing forward bend or child's pose or assisted bridge pose and legs up the wall. Breath work is always great too. So this helps to calm the nervous system, and as simple as inhaling for 4 and extending your exhale for 6 counts. Inhaling for 4 and extending your and counting as you're doing that. Okay, so this takes the thoughts from the mind back into the body. Meditation is also fantastic. You can do breathwork meditation as well. Listening to music that's going to soothe you, hopping in a warm bath, tapping, all of these things that I'm sure that you've heard of before. But my biggest tip is to refrain from alcohol and coffee, which if you've ever tried to have a few drinks, if you have been under anxiety before, it often exacerbates the problem, especially the next day. So these are things you can all do to help calm the body when your anxiety has been triggered. So I just want to recap. What I've shared is that our thoughts of the perceived danger when we are thinking about everything going wrong are essentially what triggers our fear. That fear then triggers the body response, so the hormone drop, that gives us the anxiety symptoms. So typically what I want to talk about now is the most common thoughts that I see trigger anxiety stems from a fear of something happening in the future, right? That thing that is happening that has so many unknowns, so many uncontrollables that you're thinking about that sparks the fear. There's too many possible outcomes, nothing can be certain. And so my mind is just having a field day thinking about all the possible scenarios and everything going wrong. And so for some reason, at some time, our mind has learnt to react, respond, and behave this way to uncertainty. Or react, respond, and behave this way when there is an unknown. And it will continue on that loop within the unconscious part of our mind to respond exactly the same way it has on that computer program loop that I was just talking about before, until which time you decide that you are ready to break the chain and release the fear from its core to create a new pattern of thought so that you begin to see different outcomes. Now, you may resonate with one of these fears. You may resonate with all of these fears. There are other fears that can relate to too. So fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of judgment can often be core triggers for our work-related anxiety. So I want you to take a moment now and think about your anxiety. Does it creep in around that future-based fear? Does it spike when you're experiencing uncertainty or you're thinking about all the unknowns from an event or situation? I want you to share with me in the comments if you feel comfortable doing that, because it's really good to know what type of fear you're experiencing when you do feel the anxiety coming on. Thank you, Ree. Thank you. Yes, fear of the future. Steph, yep, fear of the unknown. And yes, pandemic really caused a lot of that. Who else do we have? Yes, fear of uncertainty, all of them, all the fears, all the fears. So I hope that this is resonating right now. Everyone with me so far, beginning to make sense. I hope that you like the visual. I find sometimes with visuals, it's a bit easier to digest. I see the heads nodding, so thank you. Now, any aha moments? Sometimes we begin to go, oh, that's it. This is why I feel the way I feel. Well, now we're going to take it that next step further. So now that you've had that realization of where the fear is coming from, I'm going to share with you what we do. So we've learned how to calm the body when anxiety is triggered. So now we're going to skip to the good part, which is how to calm the mind. We're going to get to the core to help you to short circuit your fear before it turns into anxiety. So this is our first relief tool for the mind. Number one, your thoughts can be changed. If thoughts are the trigger that alerts your body with anxiety, the good news is that your thoughts can 100% be changed, and you have the power to do this on your own. Right now, at this moment in time, you may not have any control over that first worried or negative thought that comes up from the unconscious part of your mind. Bam, it comes up. But what I want to tell you is that you can take control over the second thought. You have the power within you to do this before it spirals to the next thought and the next thought into triggering your fear and your anxiety. You can do this. I teach people all the time how to do this. And the first thing is that this is what mindset coaching is all about. It takes some practice, but the first step is catching the thought. As soon as you hear that what if, boom, here it comes. I'm doing that thing again. What Janelle said, I can hear myself beginning to talk about all the what ifs. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Why am I thinking everything is going to go wrong today? The next step is to observe the thought. Why am I thinking this? Catching and observing yourself interrupts the pattern within the brain and takes your mind off that autopilot before it spirals. Okay, so ask yourself this: when did I decide that everything was going to go wrong with this thing I'm thinking about? So call it out, and that's how you take your power back. You then have control over the second thought to create a different outcome. So this is where affirmations and reframing your language is super important. The kind of thought, the next thought, the second thought that you can take is, nothing is set in stone. This is going to go great. When did I decide that? I've got this. I know I can do this. I am strong enough. I am confident enough. So if you are interested in learning more about affirmations, I have a free affirmations list on my website under the resources tab. So you're welcome to choose some affirmations there. I have some specifically for anxiety, which may help you within this experience. Number two, feelings are not facts. Fear is a feeling. It's an emotion that you experience. It is not a fact. Our mind is programmed to assess for danger. Is what I'm feeling a real life danger or an imagined and perceived danger? Where are the facts here? When you feel that first spark of fear rise in you, stop yourself and ask, what specifically is causing me to feel this way? And remind yourself that feelings are not facts. Step outside the picture and zoom out and go, okay, well, what is real here and what is not real? Am I worst case scenario planning? Is that a fact though? How likely is that to be true? And then I want you to call out the fear. It's like the talk to the hand kind of moment. Here I go again. I'm just scared of this thing happening in the future, of feeling that uncertainty. Not today, fear. Not today. The facts are this. This is what I know today. What are the facts? Show me the facts. How it's all going to turn out in that worst possible scenario. It's not true. My biggest tip for you is to put pen to paper and write it all down. Purge it if you need to. Why am I feeling this fear right now? Call out the fear. The feeling of fear that I have is because of X, the unknown, uncertainty, I'm scared to fail. And then what specifically is causing me to feel that way within this fear? Why am I scared to fail? Is it because this means a lot to me? Is it because I don't want to look silly, And remind yourself that feelings aren't facts, right? So then I want you to scale it. How likely is it that someone is going to call you an idiot or call you stupid or that you're going to look silly? Be realistic. And if you're going to have that internal dialogue and have that chat with yourself, make it a good, hard chat. Make it based on factual evidence instead of the imagined, perceived danger that is in your mind. If thinking and negative self-talk can get you into this mess of anxiety, then thinking and good self-talk absolutely can get you out of it. Number 3, another name for fear is false evidence appearing real. So fear makes us believe that every situation that we are going into is going to turn out negative, that it's going to work against us, or that the outcome will be incredibly bad. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if someone says something or criticizes me? But that is just fear wanting to keep you playing small and to keep you safe, when actually it's just false evidence appearing real. I want you to catch yourself when you're worst case scenario planning. Where is the evidence to say that everything that I am imagining is in fact going to go wrong? And if you're going to talk to yourself, my fellow overthinker, what if instead you use the power of your mind to imagine every element of the outcome going right? What if it all works out? What if everything you've ever imagined happening goes well? What if you take all that energy that fear drains from you and you instead see and feel yourself living and experiencing the most positive outcome? How empowering is that? What if everything that you're thinking about turns out better than you could have ever dreamed? You can prime your mind for a best case scenario. And as a woman who has experienced anxiety myself, I've used this tool many times over the past 5 years, going out for big opportunities, attending meetings, stepping into coaching, even for one of those things, events, even before going to the supermarket during the pandemic, small, little everyday things to big events that are happening in our life. Anything that can trigger your fear, you can use this tool. Imagine the best case scenario. So how this works is you sit with the fear that you're feeling, you take a few deep breaths and you ground yourself and you say, okay, where is the evidence to prove this? None. And then I imagine every element of the situation going well. Try it and then ask yourself, where is the anxiety? Gone. It totally works. It's about knowing your mind and using it as a power for good. Number 4, come back to the present moment. So allowing your mind to drift too far out into the future is typically what sparks anxiety. So understanding this, the practice here is to continue to tame your mind by bringing it back into the present moment. It is as simple as observing your thoughts when they are starting to go too out into the future. Thinking about that event or issue in the next 3 months or 3 years' time, and all of the what if scenarios begin. Yeah. So maybe it is, as an example, anyone who has an anxiety around a health issue or a medical appointment that's coming up for you or someone that you love, this can be really, really helpful. So what happens when your mind goes too far out into the future, thinking about that appointment or the test results or what's going to happen after a diagnosis? We begin to imagine all the worst case scenarios and ending in a negative result, which sparks the anxiety trigger. Notice though, when your thoughts are laser focused on the things that you can't control out into the future, and bring it back to today. And so how you do this is that you say to yourself, okay, notice that the thoughts are going too far in the future. What do I know today? What can I do today that is going to help me to stay in the present moment and take one step forward, just one step? We don't have to solve the 3 months worth of problems now. We just need to take one step forward. That's how you get unstuck. That's how you start to begin to get momentum. So today, I know that I am healthy and that I'm safe, that I have a medical appointment with a really good doctor or a specialist. And when that comes, I'm going to listen to their opinions. And then if for some reason I don't like the opinion, I can always get a second opinion. And what we do is we just bring it back to today. Today, I know that I've got the appointment and that I'm healthy and that I'm safe, and I will deal with that when it comes. Because if our mind is so busy thinking about everything else, we are not in the present moment. We are not able to experience joy of being in the present moment. We need to just take it one day at a time. So the truth is, not everything has to be solved right now for future-based events, right? And not everything can be solved by thinking obsessively about it, because often the outcomes are completely different to anything that we ever thought could come true. So mindfulness techniques like meditation and breath work can help with this a lot, bringing your thoughts back to today into the present moment. Meditation, breath work is really, really important, okay? Number 5, reset your daily habits to build your resilience to fear. How you begin and end your day matters, especially if you have an exhausted, spent, anxious mind. If your resources are down, if you are not sleeping or eating well, if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and all these things circling around in your mind from work and relationships and your commitments and family stuff that's going on, then fear is more likely to be triggered because it is more difficult to catch and reframe the thought process from an empty tank. Our mind is exhausted and perhaps even willing to believe the thoughts instead of challenge them. So finding ways to reduce your daily stress and create good habits that feed your energy and feed your mind in a positive way is extremely important. So I have a mindful morning routine that I've had for the past 5 years that literally keeps me sane. Every morning I wake up 30 minutes earlier than everyone else in my household, and I spend 10 minutes meditating, 10 minutes journaling in my Learn to Thrive journal, which is a journal that I created for my clients and customers. It is a positive affirmations journal. It has intention setting, gratitude, all those good things to set your mind up for a really good day. And then I do 10 minutes of stretching or moving my body, or I'll go and exercise. So before playing music, and then I follow it with playing music, and then I eat a really good breakfast to boost my mood and my energy. So morning journaling is my daily reminder that I am good enough. So 30 minutes of me time before the chaos of the day begins sets me up for an incredible day. Now, the beauty of mindfulness is that it trains our attention to stay in the present moment rather than following our thoughts to the past and getting stuck, or to the future. So through meditation, you learn how to become the observer of your thoughts, to be okay with your thoughts coming and going. And it becomes easier to recognize and release the thoughts that aren't helpful. So if 30 minutes feels a bit too much for you to begin with, take a baby step, even starting with a short 3-minute meditation while laying in bed, or writing 3 things that you're grateful for at the end of the day. If you have a busy morning and you've got young children, anything that you do to be able to begin practicing mindfulness is going to help your resilience to fear. Instead of spending our time scrolling social media or looking at our email box, inbox just as soon as our eyes open, or, having to read the news as soon as our eyes open and check out our notifications, all of these things have an impact on our mental capacity for the day and our mindset. So the key here is that your healthy daily habits are going to build your resilience to stress. Other habits can be things like taking a lunch break, not eating at your desk, having some fresh air. Maybe it's going for a walk at lunch or before or after work, creating a boundary around your work start and finish times, not checking emails at 10 p.m. because let's be honest, are you doing your best work? Not staying up till midnight or 2 a.m. scrolling social media and watching late night TV. Exercising a few times a week is great too. Exercise is so good, especially if you are strengthening your core, which gives a natural feedback loop to the brain that reminds the body that it is strong. I can handle this, I'm strong. And it also gets those good endorphins flowing, which are opposite to the stress hormones. We have endorphins, which are our happy hormones, which makes us feel good. So these little habits can energize the mind instead of depleting it, so that you have more capacity to catch and reframe the negative or unhelpful fear-based thinking. If the anxiety is building, I want you to check on your habits. Have you been practicing habits that calm your mind and fuel your body this week? What can you do to reset or change up this week to get better sleep, or eat better, or exercise? So I just want to recap on those 5 anxiety relief tools for the mind. Number 1, your thoughts can be changed. Number 2, feelings are not facts. Number 3, fear is false evidence appearing real. Change the outcome. Where's the evidence? Number 4, come back to the present moment. And number 5, reset your daily habits. So I want to ask you now, what is your biggest light bulb moment during this workshop? Yes, I have covered so much information today. Theory about our mind, the unconscious mind, how it works. I've given you some thought starters to understand where the fear comes from, what types of thoughts can help the fear and derail us. if you feel comfortable sharing from your perspective, what was your biggest light bulb moment today? I'm just going to read the chat. Amazing, amazing. Yes, so feelings are not facts. That's a big one for you. And just knowing that you can change your second thought, that just because you're thinking something doesn't mean it has to go that way. Super empowering. Thank you for sharing. Yes, thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I love hearing all of your light bulb moments and your perspectives. If you're watching this on the replay, perhaps send me an email and let me know what your biggest light bulb moment was from the workshop today. I would absolutely love to know. I think for me, understanding that feelings are not facts was a huge learning, and also that I can take control back of my mind. Amazing. So now that I have provided all of that valuable tools and information to you, I hope that you take that, you absorb it, you implement it, and after you watch this, you can even watch the replay again and again to be able to take more pieces out of the puzzle. So I did mention at the beginning that we are going to do some Q&A next. And before I do that, I want to share with you an option for further support that has a special bonus because you have attended this workshop today or you're watching the replay. So now that you have an understanding of what mindset coaching is and how it helps anxiety, hopefully you're feeling more connected to how I help specifically women heal their anxiety, and you've gotten to know more about my story and where I come from, then if you are ready to take that next step and learn about the benefits of having a mindset coach in your corner, then I want to share with you about the power of one-on-one coaching. So can you imagine what it would feel like every day to wake up without that first negative thought coming up in your mind, without the angst for the day, without the fear of the future and all the what if loops, without the self-doubt and the exhausting overthinking, without worrying about all the things. Private one-on-one coaching work that we do together concentrates on that first relief tool that I shared with you, that thoughts can be changed. And so we do the work together to focus on clearing up the unconscious mind so that you no longer have that first negative worry thought that hits you out of nowhere. We clear the unconscious mind of the fear triggers that you have. So instead, you're waking up now with kinder thoughts, more positivity or a better outlook for the day, thinking about what's actually possible, feeling more energy from good sleep, or feeling more peace and calm and serenity within your day, rather than immediately worrying about all the things that are not going to be working. So your mind, you might be wondering, how is this possible? Seems a bit, can we get there? How do we get there? How do we clear up that first negative thought? Well, I know that you've been stuck in this mindset for probably a very long time, and you've been thinking this way for a very long time. I know that I absolutely did. But what we do is that we get to the core of your fear that triggers your anxiety, whether it be the fear of the future, fear of uncertainty, or fear of failure, whatever it relates to. And we do the inner work with the unconscious mind to release it and let it go for good, so that your anxiety no longer triggers. And that is where the magic happens within one-on-one coaching. My client Christine had a fear of what she explained as everything. Every day she'd wake up driving to work on the verge of a panic attack. She was scared to drive. What if I have an accident? Scared of being late. What if she loses her job? Scared of being rejected. What if her partner leaves her? Scared of planning for the future because, like what happened during COVID, what if all my hopes and dreams and nothing eventuates, right? She was in her 30s and had spent multiple trips to the hospital, fearing the worst from some pain that she was experiencing in her body. She feared that she had a serious health issue. And time again, the doctors were just reassuring her that it's actually related to anxiety. It's your body's response to anxiety. And the worry was affecting her relationships, her work, her family, and her experience of life. And so finally, she had enough. She reached out for some coaching, which was amazing after trying a few other little things. And it absolutely was transformational for her. You can read it here. She said, I feel I am so much lighter, like weight has been lifted after all these years. I no longer dread my stressful workday ahead. She's been able to release her fear that's causing her anxiety about work. She can stop the anxious thoughts before they spiral. I taught her how to take back control of her life, which is amazing. I feel really honored to be able to do this work with Christine. So Freedom from Anxiety is the program that I want to talk to you about. So this is the program that Christine did and the one that I want to share with you today. It's a private one-on-one coaching experience with me over a 4-week period, but we look at all the areas of your life that are causing you overwhelm and anxiety. We create a game plan to help you reduce the stress in these areas. And what this program will do for you is that it's going to help you to implement mindfulness strategies with my accountability to change your daily habits to reduce stress and anxiety. We're going to create new healthy routines that are good for your mind, super beneficial to keeping you calm and grounded, even in the busiest, most stressful of times. We identify the root cause of your fear and where anxiety comes from. We look at the 3 most common fears that trigger anxiety. So uncertainty, the unknown, and fear of the future. We then walk through a timeline therapy process, which I'll share more about in a moment, to release the root cause of your fear that is triggering your anxiety for good. I'm also going to teach you my anxiety release technique, which is a powerful visualization tool that you can use anytime you're in a situation where you're beginning to feel the stress build, so that you know how to release it when you finish the program on your own and you feel empowered. All this with accountability and support between sessions to help you create lasting change. So what is timeline therapy? I've mentioned it a couple of times throughout this presentation, but has anyone heard of timeline therapy before? No, I'm getting some head shakes here. Okay, well, timeline therapy is a process to release the fear, negative emotions, and limiting beliefs that are stored in that 95% of the mind that are unconscious. Clearing up the past events that have caused you the worry and the angst that are stored in the part of your mind that's running on autopilot. So the things that have happened in the past aren't now triggering what's going on in your future. We clear that up. And I use a process through timeline therapy to identify the moment in your timeline, so a memory of the first experience you had of fear. And then I guide you to an empowering and positive way to release the grip that this fear has, this moment has on your mind. And we begin to look at it, we zoom out, we look at it from a bird's eye view, and we replace the fear or limiting belief with a new empowering, positive thought process. So timeline therapy is the transformational part of this coaching. This is the game changer for anxiety because it works at the source. It doesn't band-aid or try and, stick sticky tape over the cracks. Through timeline therapy, I was able to go back and release the moment in my childhood where I realized my anxiety stemmed from. And we looked at it briefly. We spent 10 to 20 minutes looking at it. And honestly, it's not a long drawn out process. We don't sit in it. We don't, envelop it. It's literally looking at it from the eyes of an adult now, not as a child or an adolescent. We reframe the entire experience where the anxiety began. And so that memory is still with me. I still understand it. It's a seemingly insignificant moment in my life that sparked my anxiety. It's a small event. And now with mindset coaching, when you begin to change the way you look at things, the things you look at actually change. They begin to cease to bother you, which is why it's so amazing. So fear of uncertainty is no longer a problem for me, and timeline therapy was the key. So remember this slide? I'm going to show you how it works in another way. So here's how it works. The first negative thought that comes up from your unconscious mind is actually no longer negative. Now you have a new empowering belief system that says, I trust everything's going to work out for me. I'm safe. I can move past this easily and effortlessly. I'm good enough. I'm going to be okay no matter what happens. I embrace the unknown, or I embrace this uncertainty because I know that I have everything within me to succeed. So therefore, then that first negative thought is empowering. It's not negative anymore. So then your anxiety, fear doesn't trigger. And then the body doesn't dump the stress hormones. And then the anxiety symptoms aren't there. So what we do is we retreat and reprogram the core fear in the unconscious mind so that your anxiety no longer triggers. And that's why I believe it is such a transformational program. Amelia, my client, was a very busy business owner whose anxiety was playing havoc with not only her working life, but her relationships as well. She had anxiety for her entire life, as long as she could remember. Her mother was a warrior and she was a warrior too. Amelia sought help from various professionals and had done a ton of personal development before working with me. But this program, she says, was the turning point for her. It filled in all the gaps. And she's the kind of person that was ready to move forward Give me the steps, show me what I need to do. I'm tired and sick of thinking and feeling this way. I just want to be free. And so you can leave it all behind. I don't know if you're like that too, but I'm like, give me the tools, show me how to do it, and I'm a go-getter. I'm going to get in there, I'm going to do the work to let it go. But I also want you to hold my hand. So I helped Amelia to leave her anxiety behind. So anxiety no longer shows up for her. And we were able to do the work that needed to be done within her unconscious mind. And she says that I have had anxiety most of my life, worked with many people, but nothing stuck long-term like this program. Janelle had the pieces that filled in all the gaps to finally let go of my anxiety. The tools and timeline therapy have been what was searching for to help me move past my fears. And the program made a huge difference. It's simple and effective techniques, and I really like this one, that can be used in pretty much any scenario in life. So not only just for fear, but you can use what I teach you to work through resentment, to work through guilt, to work through hurt and things that have happened in the past as well. I also worked with a client named Deb, who was a beautiful, busy mum, returning to the workforce after an extended mat leave, and she was filled with angst about going back to the working grind, jumping back on the hamster wheel. And she had lost part of herself in becoming a mother. She felt that her drive and ambition had changed, and she was unsure of who she was now. She felt like she'd really lost part of her identity. So thankfully, we got to the core of what Deb's problems were, what was the sticking point, what her fears were. And she's now no longer stuck in the past, rehashing all those old events that made her feel less than, comparing herself to other people or worrying about the future and what comes next. Deb now is able to take each day as it comes. She's returned to work. She found an even better job. She's balancing motherhood with flexibility in her new role, and she's really excited about what the future holds. She says there that, I made her feel really comfortable in all of our sessions, that she worked out what was holding her back and helped her to live more in the present moment without the stress and anxiety of the past and future. She now lives without fear, which is amazing, and that she is now no longer stressed about work, and she's excited about the future, and she's not exhausted, which is incredible. So how this program works, we have 4 90-minute sessions together, held weekly. We work on privately via Zoom, and this is not a group program. This is where I believe we do the best work, is when I'm working with people one-on-one, because I love working one-on-one with them, because we get to jump in, we can customize the sessions to exactly what you need. The program includes the transformational timeline therapy, like I was talking about, of course, and you'll get homework between sessions to help you embed the learnings, and then I check in on your progress as you're going throughout the week. So at the end of the sessions, the 4 sessions, we get to celebrate how much your life has changed in just 4 weeks. So I have a few workshop bonuses for you that I wanted to share with you, because you've committed to being here or watching the replay. And this work has really already begun. You've learned about the mind-body connection. You've heard about where anxiety comes from and your key triggers. You've got some tools to help you get started. So to thank you for being here, anyone who books into my one-on-one coaching program, this Freedom from Anxiety program, I want to reward you with 3 special bonuses. Now, the first bonus is a free 45-minute coaching session with me, valued at $150. So I believe all good coaching partnerships are built on trust and connection. So this first session is an opportunity for us to get to know each other on a deeper level. I want to know about you. I want to hear your story. I want to discover what areas of your life are causing you the most stress and anxiety right now. So then we can create a game plan. So when we get started in the 4-week program, we take off and we fly straight away, and we focus on the specific areas to help you get the best outcomes within those 4 weeks. Bonus number 2, I'm offering you an 11% discount, which is valued at $110 off the program investment. Who doesn't love a workshop discount? 11 is my favorite number. It's actually my son's birthday, and I'm more than happy to share this bonus with you, because I'm so proud that you committed to yourself to being here. I know from experience it can be daunting to join a group workshop or carve out the time to watch a replay like this, so not knowing what to expect. So this is your reward for being here. And bonus number 3, I'm going to gift you a free Learn to Thrive journal, my daily affirmation and gratitude journal, valued at $39.95. This little beauty I created in 2019 after using a morning journaling process for a number of years to shift my negative thoughts and rebuild my self-belief, which reduces anxiety. And so this is a key part of the coaching that I teach my clients. And so I want to gift you one as part of a free bonus for when you join this program, committing to yourself that absolutely better days are on the way. So let's dive into the program investment. So typically I normally charge $997 for this program. It's 4 weeks of coaching with me. We do the intensive work. You are going to get the free bonuses worth $300. You're going to get bonus number 1, which is the session with me, the 45-minute intro session. You're going to get bonus number 2, which is an 11% discount, which is $110 off the price. And bonus number 3, you're also going to get a free Learn to Thrive journal. So your investment today comes down to just $888. You get all of this for 4 weeks of coaching, private coaching with me. Now, this program is a game changer if you are looking to be rid of the Sunday night dread for the week ahead. You're looking to revamp your sleep and your daily habits, and you're tired of waking up at 3 or 5 a.m. You are ready to stop overthinking and feel more energy and have more carefree days in the present moment. And you want to be more empowered with knowledge and tools and guidance to be able to help you move forward and get out of this rut or this funk that you're in. And you want to open up to really what's possible on the other side of your fear. Excuse me. So this is a transformational program for women who are ready to be free of the grip that anxiety has on their life. So what are the next steps? If you're ready to jump in, then let's get started. I am all here for it and I'm ready to be your guide. The steps are this. I don't have a fancy application form set up. Just privately message me now in the chat to say, yes, I am in, or reply to the email that you received to get this replay, hello@janellebriggs.com. And I'll email you back a calendar link to get you set up for that first free 45-minute session. And that's how we get started. I'll then I'll follow up later with your sign-up forms and an invoice for payment. We can chat through all the details or stay on the call at the end and ask any questions that you might have. So I will say though that I only work with a limited number of clients each month. This anxiety work is deep. And these bonuses that I'm offering are only for those that attend the workshop or specifically that watch this replay. So if you're interested, then I would suggest that it's better to get in contact with me straight away than sit on it, because my calendar does get full and I want to really secure a spot in this program for you. So that's a wrap for today, my friends. I want to thank you so much for showing up and being here today, for being open to learning more about yourself, how the mind works, exploring ways that you can relieve your anxiety, ways that you can grow, that are going to ultimately benefit your life, to have you getting back to the woman that you really want to be underneath all those layers of stress. So my final point today is this: fear can limit you and it can be your biggest block to happiness, contentment, and joy. When you feel it, I want you to challenge it. When you hear it, do not believe it. Become the observer of it, but don't live within it. Look at the facts and reframe your thought process. When you follow this methodology, you're destined to be more brave and more bold and more confident in your approach to life. Becoming fearless and anxiety-free is about taking those small or big steps that move you forward every day to coming back to yourself. You are worthy and amazing. And there is a whole other world on the other side of your fear, and that is just waiting for you. And I can tell you that it's worth it because you are worth it. It has been a pleasure sharing this space with you and having you in this workshop. For all those that are watching the recording, I acknowledge that this mindset work together is now done, and I'd love to connect with you another time. Until then, I wish you all the best. Take care. I'm going to stop the recording now for those that are on live, and we can open up the Q&A. Take care, everyone, and I will hopefully see you soon.